Welcome to Cranky Live Sports Talk, where passion meets action.
Hey sports fans, I am Cranky, and this is the Cranky Live Sports Talk, the podcast where we dive deep into the hottest topics, the biggest games, and the most controversial moments in sports.
Whether it's football, basketball, track and field, cricket, or soccer, we've got you covered with expert analysis, insider interviews, and unfiltered opinions.
Join me as I chat with the biggest names in sports, get exclusive insights and stories you won't hear anywhere else.
Cranky Live Sports Talk is where you can hear the real talk, the hard-hitting questions, and the hottest takes.
So, if you're a true sports fanatic, you don't want to miss out, subscribe now to the Cranky Live Sports Talk on YouTube and hit that bell icon to never miss an episode.
Cranky Live Sports Talk, where sports come alive. Subscribe today.
Let me know if you can hear me in YouTube land. I want to make sure we start off on a good foot tonight. I'm not hearing myself well. I'm not sure what's happening here. Let me know if you can hear me before I commence this program. People coming into the chat. It's a good thing. Blessings, Triple, Ricardo, One Love, Kush. So let me know if you can hear me, people. Yes, you can hear me. Bless up, everyone. Is Cranky. The person who's been described by someone in JFF as a very low IQ football knowledge, football acumen. And I embrace that comment by the person with two hands and a chest and everything else. But it's the real show you're going to hear the things that you need to hear. And we'll have the conversation that we need to have. The boy just came off what we call a 4-1 pan grill platter from Panama, beat up. And as you can imagine, we're all fuming, and we're vexed. So we come to these forums to express our perspective, express our frustration, and to find solace in people with the same desires, which is for us to have. God have mercy, people. May I answer this? Can I understand this? Good evening.
Yeah, good night, Cranky. It's Digo from the UK.
But Digo, you not to make me start the program, Digo, before you call. Me not understand Digo. Me confused. In Digo, not even start yet. Me not start the program. Me just start the program. You call already. Me let me get a chance to say a few words. You have a call about Digo. You have a call about Digo. Let me start first, Digo. Then you can call him, man. I'm not calling time yet.
Yeah, but through my time different, you know. So
me know your time different, but you don't got bed now. I just 11 o'clock. You still have an hour before you got bed. Me don't call you back. Me don't make sure me call you back.
all
right, cool. Well, Digo, ask in peace. Digo, I'm sorry, Digo. I have to look at some look with first, Digo, and then we can jump in it, people. So I'm focus on 4 things to the people. Because when you go through a situation where you've experienced failure or success, you should look at what informs that failure or success. Right? That's up before the game. Flash, Triple E. Goku. Wait. Goku, there. Hey, Goku. Goku to come on program live, you know. Goku, watch your program in delayed. Goku, welcome. So people, when you do anything in life, think about what informs that success or that failure. And then if you're successful, you continue to do it. But also, you think about, do I have to make some changes as I go along? Because the world changed and situation changed. Right? So we're going to focus on, we failed miserably at the Gold Cup. So we got to focus on the failures. And if there's any good thing that you can think of, that me can't think of, we can't think of none, then yeah, we can talk about those. So there's 4 key components that informs this discussion tonight, and that informs the Jamaica football. There is the JFF, the leadership, or what I call the vacuum of leadership and disastrous coach hire. Coach McClaren and his staff, I would label it as tactical chaos, player pool ignorance, forced quotas, and lack of a better word, clueless. And I'm harsh tonight, people. Today is not the night for the weak. Tonight is not for those who want euphemism. Tonight is not the night for those who want us to be mild. and palatable. If you can't digest what I give you, then I'm sorry, you got to go someplace else tonight. Right? The players, because we've been beating the coach the whole time, and we beat the JFF. But even with poor coaching and poor leadership and poor management, you're professional players. You have to go out there and produce. So we're going to talk about the players. And then last but not least is the traditional media in Jamaica, who will not be spared tonight. So if you have some water or soda or you drink some liquor, because it's late in England, but it's not late here, go get your beverage. We done put up the poll for you smash the like button when you come in, so we shouldn't have to say it again, even though half hour and hit the like button yet. We still not understand how to walk, it's free. Right? And we're going to get surgical tonight. Surgical we're getting tonight. Now when you feel, you have to get surgical. You have to pry and look and decipher and penetrate, right? To make sure you go to the root because of the problem. So the question is, who's to blame? Right? Who's to blame? Which party on the lion's share of the blame? Is it the JFF? Is it the coach and his staff? Is it the players? Or is it the, what I call, inept traditional media? Not all of them inept, but enough of them. I'm doing my soliloquy first, people. We'll jump into the cards afterward. We're not going to see you. Let me first tell about the JFF. In any organization that's successful, let's go about some organization. Whether you're Microsoft in technology or Apple, whether you're Goldman Sachs or Morgan Stanley in investment banking, whether you are Johnson & Johnson or Pfizer in pharmaceutical, whether you are Real Madrid or say Barcelona or Bayern Munich in football, whether you are San Antonio Spurs in basketball, we can go on and on and on. The one fundamental thing you'll always find and see and recognize is who is running the organization and how does that organization work and what's the outcome of the leadership and how that leadership operate. Do they have great intellect, great acumen, empathy? Do they have vision? Do they have strategy? Are they thoughtful? Do they hire the right people to support them and to lead and to help them execute? Do they have good plans? Are they thoughtful? Can you see the trajectory and direction of travel about how they operate, how well they operate, and what they do? Can you trail, if you look at their sequence of how they do their business, how long they've been in business, or how long they've been in sports, can you see a pattern there and how that works? Right? Do they have accountability? When things go wrong, do they put their chest and say, I did it, I'm going to fix it? Or do they go run and hide and do some camouflage so you can't recognize what's happening? Do they have any accountability? If I look at the JFF, they're not the epitome of anything that I just discussed about how you run an organization. Far from it. Best up, Dr. Dan. Far from it. We have talked ad nauseum about the JFF. We get tired talking about the JFF. The lack of leadership. And it's not just a JFF issue. It seems to be a Caribbean. I'm talking about football now, a Caribbean football issue. At the end of the first round of the Gold Cup, there are no Caribbean teams in the second round. Not one, as I'm saying, Jamaica, so I'm dating myself, not one dege one. Not even one Caribbean team in the second round of the Gold Cup. And you ask yourself, why? When the Caribbean has 3/4 of the voting CONCACAF. Those individuals who lead those organizations, and it's more the executive body, they're being led versus leading. Now, there are people like Marlon in Grenada who come in through young, aspirational, seem to have a lot of great ideas and may do well, but it's just a very small nation. It's just over 100,000 people in Grenada. You need size. Size matters. We had the Club World Cup, where it's over $1 billion is out there and being divvied up. no Caribbean team, right? When we have these tournaments, you look at the facilities, they're awful. And they'll complain that money is the deterrent and money is why they can't do things. But they don't realize that the leadership is the one to go out and find a way to generate income to allow those organizations to thrive and to be successful. And so you ask yourself, well, why don't we just change those individuals if they don't work? Now, like most developing countries, the Caribbean has what I call material brain drain. And people don't realize how important intellectual capital is as an asset to any country or people. And you see it manifest itself now in track and field. As you see some of the field events athletes from Jamaica being pursued by what I call countries with the resources to do so. And those athletes realize that it has to be about me first versus some quote unquote national pride, because the national pride is not going to help me pay my bills or put food on the table. The JFF has a quasi public / private organization, and they have a monopoly on football in Jamaica. This is the body that runs Jamaican football, and they're not even smart enough to take down Dennis Chung, that he's now left the organization to go run the FID. They don't even do things timely. Now, this body controls Jamaica's football. This body, along with, and some of them are probably parish presidents up there, with parish presidents in general, this body and that group, it's like a monopoly or a little oligopoly that controls the football and control what is done and how it's done. They are the problem. Everyone likes to just beat this Rudolph Speed person. Rudolph doesn't get his power from some bottle someplace, some genie. He gets his power from this group. This group work in tandem. This group work seamless together. This group is fading the football in Jamaica. Now, I'm sure I'm going to get a lot of beating from maybe one or two people in this group, but it's come to the point now where it doesn't really matter, frankly. I am all about, at this point in my life, about us as a people doing well, all people, all persuasion doing well, treat us fairly, try to get the best out of any situation that you're in. And when you're part of the collective like we are that support Jamaica football, it's beyond disappointing because of the ineptitude of the people running the organization. Now, here is what's interesting. And I got this from the website. So if it's wrong, don't blame me. Blame the website. It's their website I got it from. I know Dennis has left. Now, here's what's interesting about all of this, actually. The individuals here, in instances where we have had any semblance of a successful coach, who then means they have their own mind, they make their own decisions, they operate off their own volition, they do their own thing, they get fired. They get fired by this organization, and nobody can fire them. Now, I'm not going to blame Errol Stevens. Is sort of young to the organization, and Errol just came on board, so he can probably get a little latitude. The rest of them can't. They're getting no latitude. They have been a stain on Jamaica's football. Now, I know we all want to fire the coach because somebody got to take the fall. And if you can't catch George, or catch George's son or George's shirt. So the coach is George's shirt. Because the coach didn't hire himself. Now, I had this discussion way back when with Rudolph Speed about his sourcing a coach when Hogginson left. First of all, the people in these seats who think they are just geniuses are far from geniuses. They continue to make mistakes which are plain as day. And I've called them out in public forum about some of these, not because I want to show how smart I am, but because it's so basic and it's so frustrating. When Hogginson left, they were so concerned about what happened with Schaefer and having to pay off Schaefer, that put them in significant debt. They don't realize that Hogginson played them because he wanted bonuses that he didn't generate, that he didn't earn at the point when he left. So in essence, when Hogginson left, if they had shown a little bit of patience and did some inquiry and did some due diligence, which seemed to be lacking with them and everybody else in this whole chart, in this whole chart of who I say is responsible for our failure, they would have waited a little bit before so gladly accepting his resignation. Because most people are not resigning from a job unless they have a job lined up. And if they had waited, they probably got some compensation from Ireland because you would have to break his contract. Then they get paid. Instead, they got all excited. They got him let go. And then I was told they had a litany of individuals who want to coach the Reggae Boyz because we probably supposedly have so many assets in terms of players that would allow us to easily qualify for the World Cup. Now, Rudolph had worked with McClaren during COVID on this whole talent development program. So they built a relationship. I think I heard Steve Bruce wanted the job, and we have so many names. I said to Rudolph at the time that what you should consider doing is, and I've said this before numerous times, so I'm going to repeat it because there's a process we're going through. We're doing due diligence. That he should probably go to Spain, identify a coach that has certain attributes, and bring them in. Spain won the Euro with a coach that never coached at a very high level, but was embedded in their system. Dominican Republic is now getting coaches from Barcelona, from Spain to come over, and their football has improved materially in terms of style of play and system of play. In today's football, possession football is becoming dominant. The kick and run football, which was in the 70s in England and all that, has changed because England has become much more of a meritocracy football environment, much more diverse environment. Different styles come there, and now they have leveraged that to play much better football, more attractive football, which generate fans and generate revenues, right? We have a situation where we went and hired a dinosaur, a true dinosaur, a dinosaur whose record is this. I'll get to the coach, but it's the dinosaur's record. Not the worst record in football, but we'll get to it. We go back to the board. Now, everyone blames Rudolph Speed for the problems of JFF. Rudolph Speed is not the president for the JFF. The person who's the president is Michael Ricketts, who I like quite a bit, by the way, actually, people. Very charismatic. Dr. Don, I think you say you met him too when you went out to. Everybody can tell you meeting Ricketts that he's a great person to engage with. He's a human being. He has compassion. He has empathy. And most importantly, he has, well, in terms of how he engages, he has charisma. And you can't help but like him. He's like your grandfather. But his leadership has been a failure. Undoubtedly a failure. His ability to manage, govern, his ability to make the tough decisions, his ability to think through, you know what? I have to hit controversies head on. I have to be accountable when we fail. I have to have people around me who are just in it for the country and for the football is totally lacking. Totally lacking. This is not a reactive thing to losing some games in the Gold Cup. We've been talking about these things for a while. We didn't even come close to winning a game in Copa last year. We have the best opportunity we have to get to a World Cup since '98, to generate revenues, to build a portfolio and a brand that will allow us to generate the revenues to have a sustainable program. And right now, what's transpired with this loss in the Gold Cup, we haven't got out of the first round of the Gold Cup in a long time. I can't remember the last time we got knocked out in the first round. And we were in a zone that was not the hardest zone. It was not the hardest zone. Frankly, it's an easy zone, just like our World Cup qualifiers. Hey, Trinidad, don't beat me for saying this. Since you're in the World Cup qualifying group, you're in Curacao and Bermuda. But it wasn't the most difficult zone. And we beat Guatemala at home and got excited, and they realized they didn't play with like 7 or 9 of their players. So the leadership has been nothing but a failure if you go in totality. And any success we have had, frankly, has been more the players than the JFF. It's been the players and the outcome, but we get to the players, right? Now, what have we lost for this? We have lost a lot of money. If you're quarterfinals, I think you get about, what, 400K? Semifinal, 500K? That's gone. We don't get that. Right now, the JFF is struggling financially big time. You heard Dennis come on and talk about where we were when we have surplus. I am telling you this, because I've got it from inside source, so they can't dispute it, that we have big, big financial problems. We heard we brought on 13 organizations to come on board, and how much sponsors we have financial problems. Because you got to win prize money. That's all of the big countries do well. They make enough money from competing in the major tournaments, Just like you see in football in England. When you go to Champions League, get 100 million. It helps for transfer fees. You have to pay wages. This is no different. Now, the more you lose, your ranking drop, the more you have problems. The more you have to go play the smaller teams, the more you run risk of losing, and the more you run risk of falling further down the ladder. Now, we have always struggled with Panama. And last night, to me, wasn't the worst performance, to be honest. We got beaten 4-1. The score is not indicative of the run of play, but it's a larger issue. We should have lost at Guadeloupe. We could have easily lost every single game in this tournament. We got outplayed tremendously by Guatemala. And there are reasons for that. So there's a leadership vacuum at home in the JFF. Jamaica should be leading the Caribbean when it comes to the football in the region, and be the leader that runs an organization that has 3/4 of the members as part of CONCACAF. That doesn't happen because the people on the board here are not truly leaders. They're not. They may lead in discipline that they have in their private life, but just like the J3A that run athletics, there's a lot to be desired. There's a lot of transparency. I bet they don't come out now and say, let me control my words, and say anything of importance. What they'll say is this, which is what they do with the under 20, who got 15 love in 3 games, is we have to do a post-mortem. We have to go and gather information to do an assessment and to help us make the right decision. That's what they'll say to us. They'll say, well, you guys can't tell us what to do because we're a quasi-private organization. We're going to do what we do. But we want your money anyway, because that's how that helps us to pay our bills. We want from you, but we give you nothing. We don't give you no leadership. We don't give you no transparency. We don't give you anything. And what's interesting about that whole construct is that the fans are the ones that's holding the bag. The fans are the ones that get frustrated because these people just go on with their daily lives. Because they're used to failure as it relates to the football. They're used to making bad decisions. And the problem that I have with them is they have the arrogance of thinking that they're football gurus. So I was talking to someone and said, well, we have this coaching school we're doing, and we have the Rudolph Austin and this coming through. And what they don't realize is that by the time the players get to Rudolph Austins of the world and Pierce of the world, it's too late. So they come to the high school system and they have been taught the fundamentals, which is what McClaren told them. They got to start at age 7 and they want to start at age 17. So they're missing the big picture and the wrong focus in terms of who they should focus on to allow the locally born kids, because that's a big focus, to be successful. Another point, when you write contracts, people, so Dennis, you're going to take some beating on this. I had some discussion with someone about the contract clauses that they have with some of their sponsors, right? Because I've been told I don't know anything about football. I'm not that smart, and I can live with that. It's probably true. So I shouldn't argue that point. Just got to live with it, the perspective. So I said, do we have escalation clauses in those contracts? Because if I'm going to the World Cup and I'm going to the World Cup, I would sign a contract with you now to pay me, say, $50,000 for, as a sponsor. Say I'm DNG. You give me $50,000 for the year. But by the way, DNG, if I make the World Cup, that goes up 10 times. Because the publicity and notaries go up 10 times. I said, do we have escalation clause in all our contracts with all our sponsors, especially the ones coming on board? We have with a few. That's a huge miss for an organization that's financially challenged. That's a huge miss. That's basic 101 that you should be thinking about. So all these brilliant people we have running our organization and this board that we have that's going to take information to make decisions, they're lacking basic fundamental thought in how they operate the organization. You are only as good as the people who work for you. I've said this before. When you are the smartest person in the room, you're in the goddamn wrong room. You are in the wrong room. If you're the smartest person in the room, get out of that room. Go find another room because you ain't learning a goddamn thing. And the people who run the organization, they're all the smartest person in the room that they are. They all have the same level of intellect, frankly. They all have the same vision. They all have the same strategy, which is why the football is going south versus going north. It is extremely sad. And so we can't change the JFF. And that's the root cause of our problem. When you want to fix a problem, not camouflage the problem, not just mitigate the problem, which is lessening it. If you want to fix it, so it doesn't really come back, right? It doesn't return. You move forward, you have to fix the root cause. I'll admit right now, we cannot fix the root cause because we don't control the JFF. We have no insight about, be able to change the organization. We don't have the voting power. We can't change the JFF. So can we influence anything? Right? Because we can't change the JFF. And they're going to run things. That same board, when that lady there had a fight with Donaldson, he got fired. She maintained her role. Right? I heard her come out on TV and say, "Nah, Gosa." We know what that means. What should not go so is that you be part of this board, frankly. But it is what it is. So we can't change that. We have no change over that. We have no control over that. We cannot change that. Can we influence? Yeah. You see what happens when in Europe, for example, in England, when they want to have this big six from England go play in the European Super League and have fans uproar who don't have any voting ownership, change dynamics of the environment. And also the media can change it. The media has great influence because you can generate public perspective, public opinion, public uproar to inform and to challenge and to maybe make changes. So we can't change the JFF. So let's go downstream and see if we can change anything. Let's go to the coach. I've been watching football a long time. Long time. I don't think I've seen this level of ineptness in a coach in a long time. And that's just being on the outside. That's not being on the inside to know exactly what's happening. The coach makes some decisions which from me came from day one. I had discussion with Rudolph way back when it says, go get a Spanish coach. He got the man. He came in from his first conversation. His first conversation was about who he going to recruit. Players past their prime in England, not going to recruit the young kids. And he stick to that in some respect. Or when you get the young kids, he don't play them. So he's kept to it, but in a different way. The coach is a politician who wants to be liked, who wants to have influence. And maybe he spoke to Hallgrimsson, and maybe Hallgrimsson told him that, look, to be successful, my approach was much more direct. Hallgrimsson's coach was direct. His way of operating direct. It's Icelandic in terms of where he comes from. So it's very hard for him to play the politics. But British people, if you're from England, you're much familiar with the political environment, how to operate and navigate. And he's been doing so. But in trying to be a politician is creating more problems than solution. Now, you look at his record that I have on the board here. And I got this from different sources. Don't curse me if anything is wrong here. I actually put the sources up there. It's an interesting record. It's not the worst record in the world. He's won one championship in probably 30-something years. He hasn't been a head coach since 2019, right? So it's been a while ago. He came here in 2024. He had a 5-year gap. He was at Man U doing assistant stuff. We know what happened there. We don't have to go back to history. But if we look at how McClaren has operated, if we look at his coaching methodology, when he came, he said he wanted to play possession football. We have no system. We have no style. It makes no sense. We have no system of play. We have no style of play. We've been preaching this for a long time, which is at some point, we have to start playing football with a certain methodology to it so that can permeate the entire football landscape and system and process. And then we can, as a country, when you gravitate from one level to the next, it's just muscle memory. We don't have that. And these football geniuses telling me that my football IQ is low and theirs are great. And they don't realize that they don't know. I'm not going to curse, but they don't know much. They think they know a lot. Football is not complicated. I keep hearing this thing from coach about how complicated football is. Let me say something, people. Sports, unlike some other discipline, is very unique when it comes to the general populace. They're probably fans who know more than a bunch of coaches, and they've never coached in their life. You know why? Because you don't sit down every day in your house studying medicine 24/7. If you're smart enough, at some point, you probably learn enough. You got to go do the practical. You probably know the theory enough to be like a doctor. You don't do that in most discipline. You do that in sports. You're watching football 24/7. There's some people in this chat that watch football 24/7. You get all the experts come on and tell you how this works. Formation, players' ability, criteria you use, analytics you use, what you should look for. And you're getting it day after day after day. At some point, unless you're thick, you're going to learn something. Now, you may not go to the coaching school and how they position thing, but if you break it down, it's all the same. It ain't that complex. Sorry. And one thing I learned from my corporate life is this, because I used to hear a lot of CEOs says this. If you're smart enough, they're going to put you in position to make you uncomfortable. So they give you a business that you never run, you have no idea about. But they're going to put you in there because they know you're smart, you're going to learn it, and you're going to do well. Because you come with a different mindset, different ideas, different way of thinking. You're not part of that whole structure and that whole group and have the collective group thinking. You're going to think as an individual. So you're going to do that. And that always has stood with me over time to say, you know what? You can put me in a place where I'm uncomfortable, but I'm going to get comfortable because I'm going to put my investment in myself. This coach has not invested in himself. Yeah, man, I hit my table. This coach has been a joke. He comes in, he's unprepared. He doesn't know the players. He doesn't know the region. He doesn't know the landscape. He doesn't know a goddamn thing. CONCACAF is so tough. Yes, it's so tough because we invest in CONCACAF. It's so tough. CONCACAF is so tough. What are we talking about? And it was a lazy hire. The level of due diligence that you needed to do to go source a coach was not done. How you want to play? Does the coach know the region? Does the coach know the players? Can the coach learn? Do you see the coach having the hunger to do well? None of that is there. I was told in the coach's contract that the coach was required to live in Jamaica. That's what I was told. I don't see the contracts. I don't know. Now, if that is the case, then he has broken his contract. And if you are thinking about terminating his contract, then you should, because you have cause to terminate his contract. That's what I was told by very good sources, by the way. More than one source. So if that's the case, then why wouldn't you terminate his contract? Because of his performance, but we can get to that. The coach hasn't invested. The coach, when he first came, we brought this up, people. YouTubers were told that we are parasites and we are toxic and we are horrible as people, as so-called media people, because they don't consider us media people, because we didn't go to UE, as they say, to learn how to be media, which is a bunch of crap nowadays. Because you don't need to go to no damn UE, no university to go learn to be no media, frankly. You don't go to university. You don't have to go to university for anything if you're smart enough. You can get trained on the job. But we have created this whole concept in the world. We got to go to university to get the acknowledgement and the acclamation to do a discipline. You don't need to. Please don't call me right now. I'm on a roll. I'm going to take your call later. When I'm done, I told you there's call time, people. I'm going to go through the process first, then we have the call. I'll take your call afterwards. I apologize for that. It may sound a little bit tough when the way I'm talking, but I'm very, very, very upset. All right? I'm going to do my soliloquy first, then we can have the calls. And I'll take all your calls and I'll shut up and let you talk. And I haven't put up any comments yet because I'm going through my 4 components that inform why we failed. I'm only at number 2. The coach doesn't know his players. I was told when they went to England that Mothersill and Cover looked good in training. Mothersill a little bit tired. The whole situation with Ravel. There's so much stuff I've been told by great sources about what transpired with Ravel, with Mothersill, with Brandon Cover, with Tyrese, the whole thing. And it's concerning. It's concerning. We're playing players out of position. We're forcing players in the team. We have become agent for players versus being the coach for the team. We go overseas trying to promote players versus picking the best players for the team. The coach talk out of both sides of his mouth. And I've gone to the coaches. You can go check my show I did on Saturday why he should be fired and go to the list. The coach says you got to play at a certain level, then he pick players at a certain level. You have to be fit. Then he says Nicholson is not fit, he's not playing football, then he pick Antonio. Are we out of our mind? Are we a bunch of morons, coach? That makes no sense. I mean, it's mind-boggling. The coach says the JPL footballers are not educated about football. They're big and strong, like Mandingos, and they can run. They don't have the knowledge to play football. Yet he's picking them all the time and playing them. And then they embarrass him because the last 3 games I played, King got substituted twice, Biziak got on the team. The coach basically said, hey, I can't play Tyrese Campbell because I can't experiment with a player who is new to the setup. I'm used to Dixon. Right? And the coach went and played Busy Atkinson, who hasn't really been part of the setup and hasn't played. This is not a knock on Busy or on King. This is a knock on the coach who's making a decision and then contradicting himself. It's crazy. We play Tyrese Campbell. He doesn't play Tyrese Campbell at all. Barely get any game. since he come join up with the team. He played Dixon, and I like Dixon, and Dixon gonna have a lot of potential. But Dixon can't make the bench for Charlton, and Tyrese Campbell was the starter for Charlton for like 46, whatever game he played. Most of them are starters, and he can't get into the team and play 2 minutes. But he's playing Busy Atkinson, and he's playing Dixon, and he's playing others. Yeah, 60-man pool. It didn't include cover. It didn't include rather than include a number of players. He went to a tournament. This is the worst part. I would have fired him on the spot for this. With 26 players, 9 forwards, 9 midfielders. No, I'm sorry, 9 forwards, 9 defenders, 3 goalkeepers, 5 midfielders. Of those 5, 1 was not a midfielder. So then that's 4. 1 player was going back to England that he said was injured, and he lied about that. I was told. And then another player who has been injured who just came into the team for the last game. So you had 2 good midfielders. The place in the field you run the most is in the midfield. Your stomach, your heart is in the midfield. You got to protect the defense and help your offense. And he went to the tournament with 2 midfielders fit enough to go play where you need most of them. He had 9 forwards because he's playing this game, this politics game. And I was told I'm being unfair because I'm beating people who can't come defend themselves. You can come on my channel if you want to come talk. You may not like the interview you're going to get, but you can come. You can come and talk if you want to come. You may not think I'm important enough or YouTubers important enough to come on our channel, but don't complain then. Because we're supposed to have no influence. We have no gravitas. We have no influence. So you shouldn't worry about what we say. But the coach is it doesn't go to games. He wants to go watch Y Scout or whatever Y Scout. Yeah, he wants to go watch Y Scout. He doesn't go to games. He said, "Oh, well, when he first had a job, I'm going to talk to Liam Bailey. I'm going to go up to the Midlands and talk to Bailey." He ain't going to talk to no Bailey. You may talk to him on the phone. You ain't go watch him play. You ain't going to stand like I see Tusha doing, I see Pochettino doing, I see Pochettino's assistant doing. He ain't doing none of that. He doesn't. The man is on vacation. He's working part-time. He's using us. And we allow ourselves to be used. Because as usual, we're a developing country. We ain't got no sense. People like him are the only ones who have sense. And what does his assistants do? He's using Maron Gordon. I don't know Maron Gordon. But he's the one picking a lot of those players that the coach don't know. And he's picking the wrong players. It's not okay. It cannot be okay. He's picking the wrong players. And that's why we get a wrong outcome. So the coach, how this coach doesn't get fired is unconscionable. He's not good enough. And if you keep him, you don't know what good looks like. Then again, I know you don't know what good looks like, but it just only confirms you don't know what good looks like. Now, I've been told that it's my method and that's how I want to be. I want to go fire. I don't like anybody to lose their jobs. That's not okay to get fired. But if you're in the public domain, it comes with certain things to it. I was watching an article. I was watching a video saying he's the worst England coach ever. They ever coached England national team. I don't know if he is or not. He didn't qualify for the World Cup or I think for the Euro. They were awful under his tenure. He had a decent team. But he's not a good coach / manager. He's not in my eyes. Because decisions he made, and people, these are what we see publicly. And they're fundamental. They're not even basic decisions. They are decisions that you make where they're not even head scratchers. They don't make any sense at all. They're ineptitude type decisions. They're a decision you make where you say, you know what? You cannot be part of my organization. You have to go. That intellect you talked about, technical intellect about players, you don't have it as a coach. You got to go. We cannot use you. You have to go. Now, people may talk about this quota system. I was told contractually he can select players of his own volition. That means he can select players of his own mind. Nobody can tell which player to select. If he wants to listen to advice, he can do that. But he has it to do it on himself. So he owns it then. And he supposedly was hired for the World Cup. I've said this numerous times. Given what I know and who may be coming in, we're going to make the World Cup despite this coach, not because of this coach. He's a detriment. He's a liability. He's not an asset. So I have no idea why he should be in this job. He's not an asset. He's a liability, which means he's not adding to you. He's taking away from you. But he won't take away enough for us not to beat the 3 team in our zones. You know, I think Curacao is getting better. I may even bring in more players. No in-person scouting, ignoring certain players, forcing JPA players in the team, or players who may not be ready, lack of accountability, and his press conferences, people. That's why I said I was going to go back to NE. He never answers a question. And I'll get to the traditional media. He never answers a question. Never. Talks around in circle. Last time I asked him a question, Antonio's the one who told him I was talking about Dixon, which means it's been thought about in the camp. Let me say that again. For Antonio to know Dixon right away that means it's been thought about by some of those players as to how in the hell one player can get to the squad and the other player who's the starter don't get no game. It's been thought about. That's why Antonio knew so quickly about that question, about why Tyrese don't get no game. Now, do I know if Tyrese is great? No, not in playing in CONCACAF. But the logic doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. I just struggle with that. So in my view, when I summarize on the coach, he has to go. Now let's get to the players. People have this concept that some players are committed and some players are not committed. Some players like they played, they didn't want to get hurt. The players are professional. I think they went out and did their best. Some are good enough, but they're not been playing well. Some look like they're tired, and some look like they're just not good enough. It's just how it is. I'm not going to go into the individual player per se, but I'm going to call it a couple of names because I think it's important, who may not have made the team, made the squad, like a Brandon Cover, like a Ravel Morrison. And I said this to somebody, senior in the JFF, who was telling me that, oh, Ravel don't look like he has the right muscle mass, and Ravel is not fit. You play Busy Atkinson in the 10, and when Ravel is on the beach with a big belly and drinking some rum, he ain't as good as him. And he can't play better than him, even in that situation. And that's not to knock Busy. It's a fact. Now, is Ravel the total solution? I don't know. We know Ravel has been a nomad. We know Ravel has been challenged. But I don't think Ravel deserves the treatment he's getting. And my understanding was that Ravel had a run-in with the coach. And I wasn't shot. And the running, I think, must have happened as this. I was in St. Louis. I was sitting behind the Jamaica bench. And I saw when the game was completed and Ravel was walking down. Because, you know, Ravel actually is a very friendly guy. You guys might not realize it. You engage around him, being around him a little bit. I saw his face. And I realized this probably will not go good, knowing his reputation. I don't know him to say that. And my understanding, he had a running with the coach. He never really have a running. He expressed his disappointment about not playing, and he was carried back to the coach, and he hadn't gone well. That's what I understood. So it was explained why he don't get called, and the coach don't want to play him. So the coach fired Ravel, the wrong person did get fired, frankly. Because all these midfielders we have, whether it's Russell, whether it's Palmer, whether it's Busy Atkinson, whether it's Gray playing the midfield, none of them can walk in Ravel's shoes, even when he's playing third division football in the Middle East. It's very obvious. It's not even disputable. And we saw it through the process. We saw it throughout the tournament. The team, defensive lapses, poor decision, questionable conditioning, lack of leadership on the field. When Bobby came on last night, you saw leadership. You saw somebody taking over the team, running the team, guiding the team. You saw that when Bobby came on last night, even though he's out injured for a while. Team lacked leadership. And certain players, I'm going to call it a player, who I think has probably played not their last game for Jamaica, but they're in their last leg. Palmer, for example. He doesn't play defense, and him pushing the reporter and him getting all these entanglements doesn't bode well for you, Palmer. I met Palmer. Really, really nice guy. Met him in Dallas last year. Because some people say I'm a hypocrite. I meet the players and then I want to criticize them. I've been around the players since last March. Nice guy. Right? I'm going to mention a few players. Nice guy. But Palmer, unless you play better and do better, you got to go. So I'm going to mention a few players. Leon Bailey. What I call 1 in 10. Plays 1 in 10 game. Leon Bailey, the coach says last night at the press conference, nobody's game is assured. Leon Bailey's game is assured. He's always playing. In general, he has been a failure for Jamaica football. And people say, Cranky, you don't like Bailey. I don't like failure. He played a brilliant game the game before against Guadeloupe, even though we should have lost that game given we played. But frankly, he has been a failure for Jamaica football. He may have been the highest rated Jamaica footballer, maybe even ever played in the Premier League, played in Champions League, played top 6. He's been a failure for Jamaica football. And it continues because there's no competition for places, as the coach says. And the coach pick who he likes or who gives him the best. He gets the best support from the Jamaica community as it relates to football. So he's going to pick who people like. And a lot of fans own the Bailey situation because they give him a lot of latitude on a regular basis, which he doesn't deserve. They will criticize everybody else except Bailey because they're so enormous with success in Germany, in Belgium, in the Premier League. They can't find themselves to be critical. even though he has not produced for the national team. And this is not about Beatty. I'm just giving you some example of players. Demarai Gray, the most technical player in the Jamaica team currently. He doesn't fight. And I met Demarai Gray. You see him on my thing. I got to take those pictures down from my profile because people are giving me a hard time about that. I like Gray. Nice guy. When I met him, gracious. Gray, you got to put in there. Sam Dash got rid of you and put McNeil in your role because you don't play defense. And it's late in your career, you got to play some defense. You're a very technical player. You got to play some defense. It's your position is a threat. Which other player? One more player I'm going to mention in a positive sense, people. Well, two players. Bobby Reed. True leader. Got to find a place for him in the team, no matter what happens. Show it last night. Came on the field. Looked the part. Right? Game changed when he came on the part. It was too late. But Lati Bodir, who we beat at midfield on a regular basis before he was being pushed to defense. If you're going to talk about anything about any player, locally born overseas, that kid is the epitome of what you're looking for in a footballer that plays for our country. That kid is, I mean, see, last night, he was just doing, I was like, well, he's going to get a yellow card. He's just beating people up. He's playing good football, you know, and he can play in the midfield and especially in the defense. He probably should partner. I got to talk about two more players before I go. He probably should partner Pinnock in the defense because he's that good. Or maybe he's going to be Hogan, whatever it is, but he has to be on the field. He's just a kid and the process I heard for him to get his citizenship, some players go through a lot of people to get naturalizing the people. I don't know, beat them. No, when they go through, you know. Beatty Karamarti, Lati Bodir, what they go to get the citizenship, I probably wouldn't do it. Too much work. Especially going to come and get cursed and get kicked and talk about a certain way. But Lati embodies what we're looking for in a player. May not be the most technical player, but sure give his heart out on the field. I have two more players I got to talk about. I like Brown, by the way. I think he tried, but their levels, and his level is showing. He scored 3 goals in a few games. But then the most controversial, I think, player, apart from Beatty in the team, because it's always going to go back to the local base player, is Cephas. Now, Cephas is an interesting person, an interesting player, actually. He has one exceptional attribute, is his speed. He has one exceptional deficit, which is decision-making. I'm going to say his brain, because I think some people will say that Damian Lowe has no brain. And then if you say that, you're stupid. I must call it, you're stupid. I think Damian Lowe is not smart, you're stupid. You haven't heard him talk, you haven't engaged him, he's very smart. But Damian seems to lose a screw when he goes on the football field. And some people are just like that. You ever see some people who play a certain sport and they're great in person, you meet them, they interview well, they're articulate, and then when they go in a competitive environment, the game just changed. That persona is different. That's Damian. He's going to war. And sometimes you need to calm it down, but Damian is smart. Cephas, on the other hand, I don't know what's up there. I don't know Cephas to say he's not smart. But his decision-making is unbelievable. Or lack thereof. Like yesterday when Dixon took a brilliant shot, almost scored, and he got the ball, and the goal is in front of him. There's other people on the line. But I'm trying to think about what's in his brain when he decided to go kick the ball? Or what's his brain when he goes on the wing and don't cross? Or when he cross and shouldn't cross? When he shoot and didn't shoot? When he hold up the ball and should pass? 99% of the time he seems to make the wrong decision all the time. It's not that he can't play football. It's just that I don't know what it is, and it's beyond frustrating. And yet he continues to get game time after game time after game time. He's not on the bench thinking, you know what, I got to change. He's being rewarded for his poor decisions. Which then mean, why should he change? Why should he change reward for poor decisions? And he continued to make them after. Look, he was brilliant against Nigeria. But what happened after the games after Nigeria? What did he do in this tournament? In any game? He was good in the previous game. He got, a couple penalties with brilliant against Nigeria. He's probably more of a 1 in 6 player. Bailey's a 1 in 10 player. Right? And look, we have Blake, who has been a stalwart in the team to make his best player since he's been in the team for the last 10 years. I think when the goal was his fault last night. He has learned to use his feet. He's been playing football too long. He looked like he has 2 left feet because that ball that scored, he's got to save that. It's not the smartest thought because he's trying to go down with his hand to make the save versus using his foot and kick the ball out. Because you can't get on that far. And he knows better. but he's not the most comfortable using his feet. And that showed up. And my last point, so that's the players. My last point, and wait, there's a bunch of other players, people. I'm going to talk about individual players, whether it's Mothersill or Cover or who's coming. Because we're going to talk about who's coming after I talk about the local media. The local media have disdained for YouTubers. Total disdain for YouTubers. We're not smart. We're toxic. We're horrible. We use their material. We don't give them credit. Blah, 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 blah. A lot of stuff. They don't like us. Because we're not really competition, but we're competition. You know what I mean? But then I heard sports. And then the people, those individuals get access to whatever they want from the JFF. I'm not sure because they cuddle them or whatever it is, and we don't. But they get access to the coach, for example. Right? And I heard the Sportsmax interview, and all they did was regurgitate all the questions YouTubers have been asking for the longest. Yes, they just compile them, categorize them, and ask the questions. Seriously, nothing new. Go listen to this. Go listen to Sportsmax. If you watch these channels, you see what I'm talking about. The JFF and the coach and some players have not been held accountable by the traditional media. Traditional media has been atrocious, not poor, atrocious. Is that the worst word I can use? Yeah, they've been horrible and terrible and poor in executing their responsibilities as the voice of the people, as the transparency for the people, as the group that allow people to get insight and perspective and to understand what's happening. And most importantly, holding the organization and the coach and the players accountable for the role they play in the society of Jamaica in bringing entertainment to fans. They've been awful. And you know they've been awful? Go watch the press conferences and the questions they ask. It's like 5-year-olds. The questions are awful. They're basic. Hey, coach, how you doing? Your foot hurt, coach? Coach, your foot hurt? That's why I think about the questions. There's nothing penetrative. There's nothing that, you know what? Oh, that's a brilliant question. Let's see how he comes with it. Now, the coach is very good at deflecting, or he's just not good at answering questions. But traditional media have been beyond poor. And they're the ones get all the access. They're the ones get all the access. It's amazing how that works. They get the access. We get denied. Now we get access. In case we don't get access like press conferences, we get access to press conferences, but we don't get access to interview, for example, the coach for the national team. Because it would be a real interview. We get a chance to interview him. We'll ask him real questions. Questions which he can deflect or hide or dodge from. And we're going to push back. In their environment, they get to question him. And yeah, they ask some good questions because it's just a YouTuber question, but they get to ask follow-up questions. In these media forums, which I don't like going to, I need to stop going to them. I keep saying I'm going to stop, and then people pressure me to go, and I acquiesce. You get to ask one question, and when he doesn't answer it, you can't follow up to lock him down. They move on to somebody else, and it's beyond frustrating for me. And to me, and sometimes to me, when I ask him the question about does he go to games, and I give a Tuchel example, and he dismissed me, I was beside myself. It's not about me. It's about providing information to the public. So we know you're doing a job and you're getting paid between $400,000 and $600,000 a year for working part-time. When at least it's know that during that part-time you're working, that you're doing your job. That's just fair, right? We're the fans who contribute to gate receipts. We're the fans who contribute to buying commercial merchandise and helping the JFF. You're just taking money. You add no value because the team is losing. We should have lost all 3 games in the Gold Cup. So, people, that's my little soliloquy. What I'll say is that we can't fire the JFF. We don't have that ability, but if we could, they'd be out the door. We can't fire the coach, but we damn sure going to push for it because he's the one managing the team. And we can't fire the players, but some of them going to fire themselves based on their performance because new blood are coming in. I still say we're going to make the World Cup. So the phone lines are open. You want to call in? 347-728. I'm finishing my soliloquy. 8629. It's running at the bottom. You can call in. By the way, if you have not subscribed, please do so. I did put up a poll for you to hit like buttons. I ain't going to talk a lot about that. If you came in and didn't hit it, then you just didn't want to hit it. Right? You just didn't want to hit it. And fine. It's your prerogative. But if you haven't subscribed, please do so. If you like the content, if you like the other hosts, try to do what he does, then you know what? You need to come join us on this journey that we're on of trying to provide you football content. So people, the line is open if you want to come, You can call in because some of you were calling in before when I was going through my process. But I'm not doing this program more than 2 hours, by the way. I've lit myself to do a 2-hour program now. New York is hot as hell. If this is what hell is, I probably need to become a Christian. My Lord, it's ridiculous how hot it is. Any room you go into, if I don't have the AC on in the house, I feel like I'm in a sauna, and I don't do the sauna thing. So let me take some of these comments, actually, because there's a lot of them. And I apologize for not taking up any comments. I'm not going to go back to the long list. I'm going to just take the ones in front of me. So Jason Guna says, Kanka provide me with link at any good about that link in front of. Okay, that's not one. Let me just see what I want to bring up here. Truth, the truth that the players should get picked all the time. The best players play for the team. Yeah, we hope so, but that's not what's happening. Miguel Cole is the new prospective coach. That's lazy. I'm sorry. I hear this Miguel Coley all the time. No, go ahead and do a real coaching search. Go and do some due diligence. Do a real coaching search. Good evening. Good evening. Hello?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, Frankie, it's DJ. You ready for me now?
Yeah, DJ, I'm ready for you. Go ahead.
Right. Let me try and put this into perspective. I had a good listening to what you had to say. And lot of it I totally agree with. 90% or 85% I agree with your comments about the coach. But the whole board needs a complete shake-up. Too many people on there for a start. Even numbers, it should be odd numbers. But I think because they never did their research properly in hiring the coach to take the team forward. That's one. So that needs shake up. Unfortunately, we don't have no saying at that. We just have to wait and see what happens. I like what you said about Lottie Bodier. Lottie Bodier, I'm sure you're aware because you have no football knowledge. Him is a Manchester City protege, right? So, you know, from him young and there Manchester City, I assume or know them going to coach him right. I watch him play for Coventry quite a few times. One of his best performances for Jamaica was when he played in defense. I cannot remember who he played with.
USA game. He played left back. In a back three.
Oh, man. I have never seen a Jamaican defensive performance like that in the terms of organization and positional sense. And I totally agree. I wish him to play in there with Pinnock because he's always looking around to see what string needs pulling. One of the mistakes McClaren did, I think, there's too much influence. He don't know nothing about Jamaica as such, what he should know, right? Or how to handle the culture and things like that. And he put too much, what would I call it now? He put too much into the lot of the players who play mostly in England, right? Expect them to do certain things, but he not line them up properly. Like I did said in a previous conversation, the intensity wasn't there. You need a coach to come in and demand. Because like me say, you know, I did say to you, you know, I am a West Ham supporter, fan. And Mikel Antonio will not see the best out of him unless he's 100% sharp. You know, because enough time playing for West Ham and frustrate me, you know, as they disrespectfully, they would say, in Quran, he trap a bag of cement. But that's when he's not fully fit or, you know, tired. But apart from that, he can do a job. But he shouldn't be in the squad. I must see some of the training session on TV. I'm not there. So I don't see the full focus and phase of it. But the intensity in a training is better. You want a manager as him coming, as him stepping out of the place. You know, the players them have respect for him and things like that. When mobile phone off they're on, them so they are training, out on the pitch and the Panama. No, that shut off in the locker room. And then focus on things like that. And then you kind of lose pass in one session instead of do. No, you have to have that full intensity. But partly have a little bit of sympathy for McClaren. Because him coming to a setup that he don't know a lot about and can't deal with it or could not deal with it. Maybe, because I listened to his post-match conference, if he has learned anything, maybe he can go forward with the World Cup. You know what him talk about? If he's honest with himself and say like that I kind of get the impression saying, recognize some people, maybe either think them as prima donna, never really do what they're supposed to do, or can't do what they're supposed to do, and then just a find out. So maybe he can put it right if he get the opportunity. But the people them who hire the coaches then have to take a good look at themselves in the mirror, because at the end of the day, if you want Jamaica to go forward as a football team, you have to start the things different. Rennie Seymour show something, and I don't think we have gone anywhere forward since then. I heard some people say Paul Hall should come back in the setup. I don't know enough. Well, I know about Paul Hall. My son has worked with him in England. So I know about that. I know from the journey of the 1998 World Cup. So, we'll see how that goes. But mostly, I listen to what you say and I like a lot of what you said and things. But I have a little tiny sympathy for McClaren because he go step into a pile of shit, and couldn't get out of it. No disrespect to the Jamaican setup by using that word. Sorry. But, it was too heavy a burden for him to come straight in and expect to dominate, because he's not that type of coach. You need a coach who has him step on, come off of the plane, and come into the environment, and the players then respect him before him even say a word, and things like that. Anyway, that's what I have to say for now. I just have to listen to some more show before my eyes get tired.
Yeah, well, it's 12 o'clock there, so I can understand. But I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you being part of the conversation. Thanks a lot for calling.
All right.
Bless up. All right. Come on, RD, and you just call. You can call back. People, when somebody's on the phone, I'm not going to cut them off to take the call. I'll wait until they complete, then I'll take your call, right? So if I press a message saying, can you take a call right now, it's not to disrespect you, just to say, I don't like to cut people off just to bring somebody else in, if you can understand. But I understand why people are calling when somebody's on, hoping that as soon as they're done, that they can get the opportunity to speak. Eagle says, I still find it disappointing that at the age of 27, Leon Bailey is yet to grasp one of the simplest concepts in football. The ball travels faster than the man. I totally agree with that. And maybe that's why he holds the ball up so much. But it's also a habit that has not been broken. Good evening. Who am I speaking to?
Yeah, man. Ardane,
Ardane, how are you doing? What do you have to say, Ardane?
Yeah, man, I'm good. Giving God thanks,
Bless up.
Yeah, man. Yeah, my brother. So I don't know why why you people are kill up on yourself about this Jamaican football thing. This coach wasn't hired to really carry Jamaica to the World Cup, This coach was hired to expose players. And underneath to get this, brother. Underneath to understand. And the person who hired this coach already do their diligent search on everything. And know that this man is a man who then can wrap around their finger. No, I remember Cranky with Paul Hall, when Paul Hall said, boy, you would live in America here.
Florida,
right?
Florida, yeah.
Yes, boss. All right. And the man have a big issue with this. The man them in the JFF have a big issue. And now McClaren never live in Florida and Jamaica, he live in England. So I can't understand this, brother. Me stop lose sleep over the thing, because it now will get better. I'm going to show you something. You see, Fran, the man come. I mean, here the man has said, boy, the young player, they're not really interested because them see England as the first option, and they might go after some player who passed that stage. Me know say something not right. Me know say something not add up. And this is the reason why when them bringing them player here, how can you bring in player that has been starting for the team over 45 games? First team, taking their team to the championship. And you want to tell me that you can't start the man in a one game? Well, me understand. All right. Even Warner Brown. Me rate Warner Brown and me rate him attitude in front of goal and everything. But God cranky, man. I mean, Warner Brown, the last couple of games, he not produce. Goodness, man. Put on barrel and try something now. And every change the man make, it don't impact the game. If it do impact the game, I feel it out. Hey, me don't know, but me I tell you, cranky, me not lose no sleep over JFF on that thing, you know. As me I say, the man was hired to sell players, sir, not to take Jamaica to the World Cup. That's all I have to say, brother.
All right, I did. Appreciate the call, sir. Thanks.
Yeah, man, bless it.
Yeah, man, bless. Do I think that's the case? No, I think the JFF realized the monetary consideration that we would lose if we don't qualify the World Cup. It's a big deal, people, for all the teams. That's why every team is just trying to get the best team. One thing I didn't mention, which is an imperative, we know that having the best players, all being equal in anything in life, whether it's in sports or in business, having the best people give you the best chance to win, whether it's in leadership or the product on the field, which is the players. The JFF, and I've had this discussion with some people in the JFF actually, have not done a good job of putting up a structure to source quality players for all its teams at all levels. I think part of that is the whole quota concept. And I think part of that is just, you know what, we want to bring in local players in the team. So if you go and source all these players, maybe no JPA players or even local players will even get into the team. So I think there's a fear there. If they put in the right structure in place, it'll be counterproductive for them and their tenure in the JFF. Here's what we're running to people with the JFF. Why am I getting so much beaten about this? The JFF has a conundrum which it can't solve. Obviously, we have no influence with the JFF, but here's the conundrum. The people who are on the board and the people who run the JFF are beholden to the JPL, I've said this before, and the parish presidents. So it's a catch-22. Unless they acquiesce to the electoral community who decide their fate, then they won't be in power. If they do acquiesce, then they're going to put JPL players in the team or local players in the team. They got to do things what those people want. It's not going to be best for the country. If they don't acquiesce, then their tenure is limited. And therefore, they won't be in power. So it's a catch-22. And this problem, it looks like it's permanent because it ain't changing. Good evening.
Yeah, how you doing, Sir Crank?
I am doing well. How are you doing?
Yeah, well, we're not the great, you know. But we're all right in our life. You know, when it come on to the football, we're not doing great.
So, wait, who am I speaking to? Who am I speaking to?
Oh, you're talking to Tycoon right now.
Tycoon. You're blessed, Tycoon. Regular in the chat. Yeah, Tycoon. Yeah, Tycoon. Regular in the chat. Thanks, Tycoon, for calling.
Yeah, man. So, you know, it is shambolic seeing how the JFF really, you know, going about with the football. It really discouraging to fans right now. You know what I mean? And it's really not really good for the football. If you listen worldwide and what people are saying and how the fans are reacting, even people who are not fans of Jamaica, but they just love brand Jamaica, it's like them feel so disappointed in Jamaica.
Yeah.
And I think this coach and JFF really killing the brand of Jamaica itself, as into football. And I think he would take away sponsorship. Even the sponsors who didn't come on board yet was looking forward to come on board. I think they will think twice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When you listen to the ESPN and the Fox News and the Fox Sports and all these, the Gold TV and all these big networks, the way how they speak about Jamaica, they think Jamaica was going to be the team amongst the USA and the Mexicos, they think we was going to be that next team that step up, take the first, second, or third with Mexico and USA and be that team and compete with the cannibal teams. The Ecuador and the Colombias and the Argentinas and the rest of these teams. The CONCACAF was really bringing Jamaica to be that next team. They was bringing in Canada. But what Jesse March has done in 2 months to have Canada playing some of the best football in the region. And we have a coach like a Steve McClaren inside of the Jamaica system for over a year, Cranky, and we still not improve on nothing.
Yeah, that is true.
If you check all the teams that we have beaten since he came into the federation inside of the Jamaican setup, they are not teams that even rank to our level, and they hardly beat them. We draw with Nigeria, and who else again? Some other team. I don't remember which other team I can't remember which other team we had a good game against.
We beat Trinidad. We draw with Nigeria. We beat BVI. We beat Guatemala at the stadium. What other team we played? I think we beat Nicaragua, didn't we?
Yeah, but tell you what, Cranky, that Guatemala game that we played against Guatemala C plus team.
Yeah, probably a B team, but yeah, we didn't play the best team. We didn't play the best team.
We didn't play their best team.
Yes, that's true.
You know what I mean? And we get dumped up from a Panama B plus team last night. Because they didn't start their 5 best players. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is why I hope Mr. Speed listening, you know. Why the fans are crying out no and saying the federation, which allegedly, if you are interfering with the coach selection, on the office stop right as so. On the have to make the decision to let the coach. And why I'm saying, Cranky, if you're a coach coming from a big institution as in Manchester United, why would you come to Jamaica? Right? And stoop low, right? To the JFF telling you what to do. Why wouldn't you come off the plate and stamp your ground coming into Jamaica as a big coach? Amongst the big names like Ten Hag and the Manchester United, if you're coming from that institution, you're supposed to come with some type of leverage to where you can say, all right, I'm a deploy this to your system, y'all can grow. He haven't done that. We see Al Grimsey came here. What Al Grimsey came here and did, he still leaves something that I can work off with. The John Wall and the Al Grimsey, I didn't see Steve McClaren doing anything for us to say, you know what, at least him doing that.
Right. Yep.
So it's really concerning to fans. That's why fans are crying, not because him have 1 game or 2 bad games, you know, or a few bad games, you know. The way how he set the team up, not having the boys ready mentally or physically ready to play into these games, is fans have all right to say, guess what? We need this coach out. Why gamble with him to go play these rest of games that we have, these 6 games? Why gamble with him when we already see the damage that he already done? Or we already see the damage that he collaborated with the JFF and already done? We have to make the decision right now if we want to move forward. That's guess what? Blood want to be on our shoulder.
So Tycoon, here's a question, Tycoon. There's a view, an opposing view that says it's too late in the process to make the change because he's now come in, embedded system or whatever it is, and the players are not used to him. And if you change now, it's going to be very disruptive and maybe catastrophe if you make the change. What is your view on that?
Well, I'll tell you what, I see Jesse March take a Canada team. He take 3 months, 2 months, 2.5 months, excuse me, to let Canada play in some of the best football in CONCACAF. Professional players will adapt rapidly if you implement the right system. And that is my answer.
All right.
Players, we have players coming in, and we have players already that is good enough long as they implement the right system for the players to follow, they can go out and execute.
Okay.
We see Steve McClaren flip-flopping on system, trying this, trying that, but it doesn't work, and it don't take a blind man to see that what you're deploying and the players to do, it won't work. You came back, and we all know that the Damian Lowe cannot work in the midfield, and you still went back and tried the same thing.
That one was really bad, actually. That's as bad as he played against BVI. Damien is not a CDM. We know this. We know what happened with Canada. We know subsequently what happened. Because Hawkins tried him there again, didn't work. He tried him against BVI, didn't work, and he still went back to do the same thing, which was a catastrophe. Yeah.
And I really not beat it on a Damian Lowe because I think he's I find a right word for him.
Damon is a soldier. He's a soldier, and he put in his best when he go play for the national team. He put his heart on the line, right?
There you go.
We're not beating Damien. We're just calling out that he's not a CDM.
Right. But you know, why we put it like that? Because sometimes people in the chat hear you speak, and they don't really comprehend what you're really saying. So we just let them know we're not beating a Damian Lowe. What is happening now? The coach has put Damian career in a siege. Because you put a man in the midfield, knowing that he is not a midfielder, and he getting all the blame and all the backlash for all the losses.
Yeah. He gets blamed for things which, look, I don't think Damien went and said, I want to go play the CDM. The coach went with not enough midfielders, so then he was in a bind. He could either play Latte there, I could play Damien there, right? He had no idea else to play there. When he had other CDMs could have brought in to be that cover, he had a 60-man squad. Didn't pick the right 60-man squad. Didn't pick the right 26. Didn't pick the right team to go on the field. Got it wrong every single time.
And then my last point, Cranky. As a coach now, moving forward, right? We are moving forward to say we are trying to go to the 2026 World Cup. The squad.
We're going, are we going to attend? We're going to attend as fans, or are we going as a country?
Well, guess what? That's why we just don't want to go to the World Cup and us be there. We want to go to the World Cup and at least go to the round of 16.
Right.
We want to go there and make a statement. We don't just want to represent us. So, yeah, man, Jamaica, they are World Cup, and they look good, and we go with a yellow T-shirt and we have the flag them, and our vibes are going. No, we don't want that. We want to go and set a set a standard, set a statement. And I mean, we want to go there with standards. So anyway, now, what I'm saying now, Cranky, the team getting a little bit old. Ethan Pinnock, you have the Anthony's, you have the rest of the players. Next season, we are not sure what these players are going to produce. To say they are the players that are going to represent us if we go to the World Cup. Why have a Mothersill, the cover, and all these, and the Campbell, and we're not saying, guess what? Let these players go in the Gold Cup. If you're talking about experiment, why don't let these players go in the Gold Cup? See what they offer to the team. That we can think about the 2026 and the 2030 moving forward. Use the young players as our proposal and see what they can form chemistry with the real body of the team, the Bobby Reed, the Mikel Antonio, the Ethan Pinnock, and all these things. And then they can pick from there also the players them that coming in. Because the players them that coming in, they really won't get a lot of much time for us to see them to say if they fit or not. We have the young players, the covers and the Mothersill, that I must say again, and all these young, I mean, he should have used them in this game for us to see what they made of. Because we already see them at the club level. Let's see them at the international level. And he dropped the ball on that.
Yeah.
That is if we are looking forward to say we want our team to look young, because all the teams, the Spain and all these teams, they come into the World Cup with players 16, 17, 18, the Yamal and the Nico Williams and all these players, they are young players.
Yeah.
The US
but you made a great point, Tycho. You made a great point around the fact that in sports and also in football, when you pass 30, you have no idea when your body's going to go out. Right? So what you're basically saying is that by come next year, some of the players that we have, like Antonio Pinnock, we don't know where their body's going to be from a injury standpoint, recovery standpoint. So you got to make sure you have appropriate cover, and blend those players in the team at some point. So it's a great point you're making. Because they're two of our better players, but they're seasoned players.
They're seasoned players. So why only thing I can get from this now, this will discourage the young players to come to Jamaica for us because when they see what's going on with a Campbell, who is a poster boy for his club, and he cannot get 10, 20, 15 minutes.
Yeah.
A mother still. A mother you came and give the wrong information and cannot make a Gold Cup squad. And you have players in here that didn't even deserve and merit to make the squad.
Yeah, those things are puzzling actually. Very puzzling. Very puzzling. And those kids then walk away so disappointed and basically, you know what, we're done with Jamaica. Well, it's not really Jamaica, it's the person in the seat at the point. It's not the country, it's the person at the point making the decision. So I heard that Mardisell stopped following the JFF. The JFF didn't end up wanting to pick Mardisell. The coach didn't pick Mardisell. He's the one making the decision.
The coach, of course.
Yeah.
I can't see. I know all of this thing. See? So look past that. So I know all the JFF work. But at the end of the day, I don't think the JFF will go in and say, I know. It's a mother still. Don't put him on the field, you know. JFF not going to that. That is at the coach decision that. That's why when the coach first came here, Cranky, you were the first one to came out and said the coach is a damn agent. And that is where I leave the forum. I let somebody else talk.
All right, so thanks for the call. Very good.
The coach is a damn agent.
All right.
I'm out.
All right, bless Tycoon. Thanks for calling.
Respectively. Yeah,
man, bless. Hello, who am I speaking to?
Cranky, my brother.
How are you doing, Andre?
I am doing very good. You're spitting fire today.
I'm not spitting any fire. I'm just giving facts. I'm not spitting no fire. If facts are fire, or is fire. And so, by the way, people want to say this before Andre speaking. I would probably say it a little bit. So people are calling in, so I won't get a chance to say it. So I'm gonna say it when Andre is here. Because Andre gonna take a little bit while because Andre can't talk for a short period. I'm beating you.
Short period. Boy,
people, I am not a enemy of Rudolph Speed. Let's not be clear. When I was in Jamaica, Rudolph Speed and I went to dinner for 4 hours. He was very, very gracious. He came late. He had a meeting. He took it. So I'm just make that clear to people that, and we had a subsequent discussion, right? If I come here, I'm just spitting facts. Rudolph is not gonna like it. And Rudolph telling me he and I don't agree on a lot of different things, and we agree to disagree. But I see a lot of you in the chat being disrespectful to each other. Stop it. When Rudolph and I engage, sometimes he can be disrespectful to me. I'm not disrespectful to him. Sometimes he tell me I don't know anything about football. To me, that's disrespectful. But I smile and say, you know what? I'm going to get my opportunity to come back at you, which I do. So I don't hate Rudolph. I don't think Rudolph hates me. We agree to disagree. He has his challenges. I have my challenges. We're going to do our thing in the forum which we operate. Go ahead, Andre. Just want to say that.
Jackie, how are you doing? You doing good?
I am doing wonderful. It's hot as hell in New York. It's ridiculously hot. And by the way, the president we have in the U.S. who don't believe in climate change, because he doesn't give a damn when he dies and pass from this earth, because he's like 79. When he goes, don't care about no word that's behind him. We should care. And this feel like climate change at its zenith. But go ahead, Andre. The floor is yours.
Some people will say you have ADD, you know, you go from one thing to the next.
I do have ADD. I have the ADHD, not even just ADD. But go ahead.
ADHD.
Look,
I like when you start to broaden the conversation and make it more about not just Jamaica, which is your main interest, of course, but when you broaden it to the wider Caribbean.
Yeah.
Because as you often say, it seems to be a Caribbean problem. But you mentioned something today that I wish you would elaborate on. And there's two things I want to address. You mentioned the word on a couple of occasions, the word empathy. And you also said that the president of the JFF is a person with empathy. This is not my expertise, but I think I do understand it. And I would offer you somebody, a friend of mine, if he would oblige, is very, very good at this kind of stuff and talking about why empathy is important. A lot of times we talk about the JFF, but the JFF is a building, is a organization. It doesn't have a heart. Empathy is about people. Okay, empathy is about people, and it allows leaders, people that believe in that, to understand the perspective, the needs and the motivation of others. So in the case of football in the Caribbean that we're talking about the players, we're talking about the staff, we're talking about if we are leaders with empathy, we would do things in a much different way, right? Our employees would feel much better about themselves. We got to understand that they have dreams, they have aspirations, right? If we have empathy, if there's an organization that has empathy, we would have more effective strategies, so to speak, right? We'd be more effective in what we do because our leaders would be able to anticipate the challenges that we face or would face and adapt to the needs and make decisions that is based on the reality. So some of the things that we're discussing, some of the things that I hear you discussing and I hear discussing in the forum and people talk about personally, I believe that when I heard you mention that word today, I thought you'd have elaborated more on it, right? Because it's part of what I think is missing from the core of everything that we do in the Caribbean. You did an interview with me and I talked about it in a different way. If you remember, I talked about having informing the character of a young boy when I begins to work with them, right? Educating the character. And I think in most football academies, they talk about being player-centric, which is putting the individual first. It's the same thing, trying to understand where every young person that you deal with, where they are, because you're trying to build them into something greater than where they are at the moment over time, okay? So empathetic leaders, often they communicate, they encourage people to be curious, they create a safe environment, and they allow new ideas to emerge. I saw something happen today on the TTFA Instagram. Somebody made a comment that was, they might have been a little bit aggressive. I don't know what it was, but it was in reference to they respond to one of the players getting injured and how late it was, right? And to be transparent and be intellectually honest, they're talking about my son, and they were accusing them of being late, and a bunch of people, I believe, started to make some comments in agreement with the individual, and they deleted it. They deleted the comments.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
Yeah, they deleted it. So what we're talking about, we don't want, we stifle innovation, we stifle thinking. We are not working to inspire. So I would encourage you to try to blow up that empathy idea. I'd offer you a gentleman. I'm happy to talk to him if you want to. Very articulate, very smart young man. Okay. I met him through football and I got to know him, and he's done some work for me, and he is very, very good. And I think it will be a great conversation. Somebody of your intellect, even though some may say you are.
Be careful.
Let me leave that alone. let me leave that alone. Let me don't speak with nobody. But empathy is in any business. It's about people, and it's important. And I think that is lacking in I think that's the source of all of the problems that we are discussing.
Well, the empathy thing. If you want to see anti-empathy, just look at Donald Trump. That's all I'll say.
You need to take your medication, okay?
So that's my ADHD cut because I'm using an example. But you're right. Empathy is an imperative, especially for leaders, because when you make a decision, you can understand, how does that affect somebody? What you thought, right? You got to step in somebody's shoes and understand what they may be feeling, and that's the only way you can really engage them, right? So you just mentioned your son being injured. Have they stepped into his shoes or those who support him shoes and say, you know what? We have to support this young man because he plays for us. And we're going to make sure that he's taken care of. That situation you just mentioned is unbelievable, that they lack the empathy that you should have when you deal with young people, and especially when you have an age demographic difference, right? You're older, you're an adult, you're dealing with kids. Empathy is an imperative. And actually, if you're empathetic as a leader, you don't believe the amount of loyalty you buy with your people.
Yes, trust and loyalty.
Yes.
Right? And it's not just with the people that work for you, but with your customers, the fan base, the business community. Right? And so I think sometimes, and I'm gonna say this respectfully to you, you're attaching empathy to people's name. I'm not making an accusation
No,
whether
I'm
they're
saying
empathetic or
I
not.
said lack of empathy, not attaching empathy. Oh, you mean with
No.
the president? Okay.
Yes. You attach it to the name, and I'm not saying that he is or isn't. I'm just saying that we need to flush the whole thing out before we start to assign names to the word, because it is a powerful word. It empathy really matters. It improves leadership. It improves performance. It enhances communication. It result in conflict resolution much easier, right? When you respect it,
you're making a great point about the whole conflict resolution, because if most of us go sit in the person we have the confrontation with or the situation with, we'd be amazed how we may change how we approach and manage those situations, right? If I'm you and I have an argument and it's really going bad, and I go sit in your shoes, I say, why you take it the way you do? We may change our approach and how we operate. So I agree with that.
And look, it's if you go back again and referencing the video in the interview we did, I believe I spoke about respect, right? And its ability that if you and I respect each other and we have a disagreement, it's easy for us to resolve it, because our relationship is based on respect. Respect is very, very important, right? So a lot of times here coaching in the US, you go on the sideline and your opponent coach, you don't know that he's disrespectful until there's something that happens that you have to address, and then you start seeing that it could only escalate because he doesn't have respect, right? And as you mentioned earlier, empathy build really strong trust and loyalty, and improve relationships. So I wanted to add that to the conversation. The other thing I wanted to add to the conversation, and you don't have to respond to this. You don't have to respond.
I'm glad you give me an out. Go ahead.
Well, there's a lot of people every day, and you would be aware of this, that lose their shit trying to do day trading. They believe that they could open an account with one of the brokers and they can put their money in there and they can buy and sell stocks, right? And it's something that they don't understand, right? My point is this. The point I'm making is, you say often that people say football is complex and football is easy. You're having a program today that you're talking about a coach that most of the people believe is not doing a good job, and we're talking about getting rid of him and going and find somebody else, right? If it was complex, then maybe we can give the job to Presser or JD, if anybody could do it, right? I think my point is this: when we say that a profession is so easy that anybody can do it, is not complex, what we are doing, we are underestimating, in my opinion, the skills and the knowledge that is required to do that profession. Because what happens, we seem to be overlooking their challenges that is involved in that profession, that somebody who watches the game on television, whether they watch it 24/7 or 8 hours a day, there are things that they would be incapable of understanding and experiencing because they are not in the hot seat on a daily basis. You understand what I'm saying? That is required.
No, so when you give me a chance to respond, I'll respond. So go ahead.
I give you an out.
No, I don't want it. I don't want that. Right? I don't take outs.
I know you. So
I don't take outs. I don't want the out. I'm gonna take that. Go ahead.
Because you started the program by saying somebody said to you that you were what? You were
my football dunce, basically. That's what.
Right. And I'm not saying that to you. I'd be disrespectful to say that to you. It's disrespectful to say that to anybody. But what I am saying is, we have to be careful not to minimize the work that people do. Because if football was that simple, I remember before Pep Guardiola went to England, there were many English people who were saying that he cannot go to England and play the football that he plays and win. And he went to England, and not only did he win, he dominated football in England.
Right.
He dominated. And what he does is special. You have coaches that coach in the English Premier League or coach in Europe their entire career and has never won a trophy.
Right.
It is very difficult to do. They don't play the football.
So you know you're doing ADHD, you know, right? Because you went from me trying to answer to you trying to you go off on a tangent. But keep going off on your tangent. Tell me you're done. Tell me when you're done. Tell me you're done. Tell me you're done, and I will respond.
It's all I'm saying is, you know, you did what you did for all your life, and I think anybody would be, for lack of a better term at the moment, it would be inappropriate. It may even be foolish to think that they could know more about what Frankie does, more about what Frankie did for so many years on a daily basis, dealing with all of the issues that he came across more than he does when they have never done it. Right? I think football is also a profession. It's very sophisticated. I am one of those that say it's very complex, and it becomes simpler when you understand the complexity of it, right? Because if it was easy, part of football is leadership. And right now, what is happening, what I'm hearing you guys discussing, what I listened to in the interview last night, leadership is failing. I don't know if it's the coach, I don't know if it's above the coach, but when he talks about the things that he talked about last night, when he talked about the lack of commitment and no consistency, all of that ties right back to poor leadership.
All right, so let me jump in. When I respond to the whole question about me being dunce about football, that probably could be true, actually, because sometimes we have an inflated ego about our knowledge of certain disciplines. What I would say, though, is that I did explain it's a very unique situation when you have so many people who are focused on a given discipline, when that discipline is not part of what they actually get trained to do. If you're a carpenter, if you're a plumber, if you're a teacher, a nurse, that's your chosen vocation. You focus on it. Most people won't, so they won't have the insight. It's a little bit different when you're involved in an environment where you may not know all the intricacies that inform that, right? The football that we're talking about mainly is not necessarily all the thing around the football. It's mainly about what's played on the field and what that entails. It doesn't take into all the other aspects of football, as you alluded to, which is how do I manage people? How do I manage infrastructure? How do I manage situations? How do I manage resources? There's a lot of different things that inform that. How do I manage the individual, not just the team, and who they are? As you mentioned, their character. How do I assess people, right? The tools I use. It doesn't take in all aspects. We're just talking about when you go kick a football on the field. That's what people sort of focus on, not the other stuff that informs it, because it's a complete package. They're thinking about how the football, how you make a pass, how you run, how you control, how you think about spatial awareness, how you tackle, how you intercept, right? That's what they think about the football per se on the field. And also part of that informs is about how do I manage a game? How do I recognize situations? How do I recognize strengths and weaknesses of my opponent in game versus before game? How do I do my research before I even get on the field? There's a lot of things that inform that. We're not saying that all those components are part of it. We're saying the coaches are denigrating the knowledge of the people who invest in football themselves, even though they haven't gone to a coaching school. It's like going to college versus learning a job, right? You learn the theory, then you apply it practically. If you haven't, and what you're basically doing is learning how to do that job in a learning environment where you're now learning a little bit more, less structured. It's a very unstructured learning environment when you watch football, or you listen to all the pundits and the experts who do it. So if you do it for 30, 40 years, at some point you're going to learn something that informs your view to say you know something. Doesn't mean you know all aspects that inform what Pep does behind the scene, but I'll say this about Pep before you go. He had the best players. So we can talk about how great he is. He only takes the best team and have the best players, and it's part of the reason why he dominates, because people beat him for only winning one Champions League while being at Man City when he had the best team most time. That's all I'll say on that. I only have 10 minutes, people. I'm going after 10 more minutes.
Just give me one. I take one more bit. I brought this up with you because I know you would have the conversation in an appropriate way. I mean, most people I probably wouldn't even engage. And just to the last thing that you said about Pep have signed players that probably was on nobody else's radar. I don't know if you remember, Liverpool was sued at one time for thieving the database. So look at what they played for Erling Haaland. That was minimal money when you compare to what he has been able to produce.
No, but Andre, stop right there. Andre, please don't go down that route. Erling Haaland cost him 40-something million because Haaland, his father, forced Dortmund to have a certain price for him, so he didn't overpay. Come on, Andrew, let's not go down this rabbit hole. Because I'm gonna beat you on all these things you're saying. So you're trying to protect Pep and your argument. Okay, don't go down that route.
No, but what Pep, the players that Pep assemble is based on his knowledge of football and what he wants to accomplish, what he wants, how the qualities he wants in a centre back, based on how he wants.
No. I'm not saying he's not brilliant. Come on, Andre, he's a brilliant coach. We know this. I'm saying is that he makes sure to put himself in a position where he's going to win. He's not going to take the job for Crystal Palace. He's not going to take the job for West Ham. He's not going to take the Man U job that is his today. Well, maybe Man U next year going to be much better. But the point I'm trying to make is that Pep is very smart, not only about on the football field about how he does the job, but what job he takes as a manager to make sure his legacy and his success is sustainable and is continuum. Right? He's very smart and very visionary.
And that's part of his brilliance.
Yes.
That's part of his brilliance.
Yes.
But I appreciate the time. If you want me to try to get a hold of this young man, the empathy bit, I think if a couple of people would pick up on the
let's talk offline about that.
All right? Okay, take care, brother.
All right. You're the last caller for the evening, caller. You've been trying to call for a while. You have a lot of background noise. Who am I speaking to?
Speaking to Alex. I'm calling a long time cranky. Me.
Alex. But Alex, we know say you Alex, but if somebody
how long Andrea got up on the phone for cranky?
Alex, say what you have to say. Have mercy, you're miserable. Say what you have to say.
No, I'm not busy, man. Oh God, man.
Alex, can you say what you have to say? You take enough time now, Alex. You only have 5 more minutes because I'm gonna go.
All right, cranky. Good afternoon, cranky.
Good afternoon.
Sorry for the
miserable Alex. Miserable Alex.
Cranky, I heard everybody calling for the coach and coach to get fired or whatever.
Yes.
I can't beat them. I think that's a valuable reason why the coach should get fired. But they can't recently fire the coach. Who will be the next ideal candidate that can get us over the line? Me personally think the next ideal candidate should be John Herdman, that coach Canada. What you think?
I do not have a name right now, frankly, and that's deliberate, by the way, because I believe I've said this to Rudolph Speed when he's going to hire the coach, that when you go hire somebody, you should have 3 or 4 people line up to assume that person's job when they get hired. Now, part of what I have heard is that I'm going to be frank. What I've heard, what Speed and I've talked about it, I'm going to talk about it because I don't think he's going to be mad at me saying this, is that his view is this. If I go out and start doing some checks on coaches, then I'm undermining that coach. And also that information may go back to that coach, so I can't do that. That's his philosophy. Mine is different. I believe that you line up 3 or 4 coaches. You may have initial discussion with them. You may say, you know what, in the future we could probably talk. And you don't try to undermine your own coach because it can be a problem. They find out you're trying to undermine them, right?
Yeah, and then again, Jamaica's a big leverage where they can hire big coaches, can't it?
No, but his point makes sense, right? He's basically saying if I hire you and go undermine you, and you hear back that the relationship may be splintered and scattered, my view is it's like how Brighton does business. They always have a fallback. So when De Zerbi left, they have another coach. When what's his name that went to Chelsea left, they have a coach. They have people lined up.
But Brighton never changed in playing style when De Zerbi left.
I know, because they have a system of play. Yeah, they have a system of style.
Exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying. If you want to bring a system of play, the next ID candidate I heard they tell him they need to go Spain. Spain have the best coaches in the world. Why you not go for Spain? Like you look at the Spain coaches, right, Cranky, right? Look at the guy that coached Bournemouth. Brilliant coach. Come in.
Yes.
Totally changed Bournemouth.
Yes.
I don't know what his name is or whatever. Brilliant coach, Cranky. Look at the coaches that striving the world right now. They're Spanish, Cranky. They're Spanish. You understand? And the part of what Jamaica now get it right. We not play a brand of football, Cranky. We can't so we are do Cranky. If you hate to play better brand of football than we Cranky. Do you watch how you hate to play Cranky?
I didn't watch it.
But if they not score Cranky and move them and slick 1-2, they not take a long time for the ball and pass the ball, Cranky. They always have time and space in the midfield, Cranky. Why we can't have that? Sometimes watch a game come like midfield far apart from the defense, Cranky. We don't know if you realize. Nobody now drop deep and come for the ball, Cranky, or sit there and the back four and progress the ball. There's nobody there, Cranky. You understand where I come from? And then again, Liam Bailey just too lazy, Cranky. He's so lazy. Him selfish, Cranky. He take 2, 4, 7, 8 touch on the ball before make a pass. Why? Why, Cranky?
I don't. You gotta talk to Liam. I don't know. I don't know, Alex.
But I understand.
That's all Liam. That's all Liam plays football. You know that. That's all Liam plays.
But that's not right, Cranky. You're not supposed to play football that way, the Cranky. That's selfish, Cranky. That's selfish, and they always lose the ball, Cranky. And I put the team under pressure. Cranky. Come on. I don't think Speed evaluate the coaches them properly. Even the coach that coach 80. Calmaron. Or either coach 80 before he get fired. We will be 84-1 on Trinidad. He's a good coach. We want to evaluate the coaches them good. Now, John Merdman, a very good coach, Kanki, had come and transfer Canada football team there. He left and Canada still have a system of play with Jesse March coming.
And Marshall's done a good job. Jesse Marshall's done a good job. Yeah. Yeah,
but Herdman, he pick it up from in the Kanki. Remember, so Herdman lay a system enough. Remember, so 2 or 3 years ago, where before Herdman, before the qualifier, remember, so Canada was not on that level. And he came in and he changed Canada team, Cranky, and he know CONCACAF. I think he would be best candidate. And I think he's New Zealand, he's Australian or British.
Well, there are a lot of coaches out there. There are a lot of coaches unemployed, and there are a lot of new coaches coming up. We just got to be thoughtful, right? There are people out there.
And sorry for cutting Cranky. I need to get rid of Meron Garden too, and the fitness coach. I need to get every one of them coach, Cranky. Every time a new coach come in, they always get on the board.
Well, fire the JFF. Well, fire the coach. We don't got nobody left.
No, I'm going to fire the whole coaching staff and the whole backer room staff. But not talk about the doctor manager and the muscles and them. I'm not talking about the fitness trainer, Buju. When you name Buju, wherever you want him, he needs to go. Because Jamaica team play slow, Cranky. They start off too slow. They now start off fast, Cranky. If you watch him, then get like him too slow, Cranky.
All right, Alex. I'll leave it though, Alex. Come here, I forgot. But Alex, I appreciate the call. And you should call more often, Alex. You haven't been calling my program. That means you've not been watching my program.
I am not calling more often, though, Cranky.
Yeah, you haven't been watching my program, Alex. I'm very disappointed.
No, I've been watching, Cranky. I've been watching, and I like your program, Cranky. I watch it. Like, I'm telling you this, like, you beat the GFF on. Whenever me hear come out and say them do something right, but most of them actually doing something right. So, okay. I do watch a program, Cranky. I watch a program a lot.
All right,
just to say.
Bless up. Thanks, God, Alex. All right.
Yes.
People, I have to run. Let me just say a couple things before I go. I'm not going to talk about players who are coming in. I have not been given the authority or the go ahead to talk about individual players coming in, even though I have names, because I haven't been given that, and I will not disclose names until someone tell me you can talk about this. I say I'm not taking any more calls. I apologize, people. I'm not taking any more calls. I have to run. Before I go, let me say this before I go, which is this. I appreciate each of you who are engaged with the program, call into the program, have the conversation, listen to me. I don't take it for granted. I truly appreciate you. I think as fans, and callers who are just calling me, I do apologize profusely, but I have to run. It's very important for us as fans not to lose hope. It's very important for us as fans to keep supporting the team. It's unfortunate we can't influence the JFF, or if we can influence them, we have no idea if it's working, right? I used to have a lot of conversation with Dennis Strong when he was part of the JFF, because he was one person who seemed to reach out to the fans and others to really try to garner their perspective. And when we made suggestions about revenue generation and leveraging it, he would be very receptive to it. My hope is that there are other people in the JFF who may have assumed his role, and I hear that we have a temporary Gen Sec in place. My hope is that he will become a little more transparent, he'll be more engaging to the general public, to those who follow Jamaica football, and be part of the conversation and not just go silent, right? I think, and look, it's important for each of us, as I said, not to lose hope. We have September coming up. We will get some reinforcements. I think we should get a lot of reinforcements. Not only new players going to come on board, but the people like the Mothers of the world and the Tyrese Campbell should be given an opportunity to be a part of the team. The coach basically said, no position is safe. No roles are allocated or safe, but then he doesn't operate accordingly. He may not be fired, because my understanding is that a post-mortem is being conducted, that intelligence is being gathered by the JFF to allow them to make an informed decision about what direction of travel, where you're going to go next. My concern is that they say this a lot of times, and they keep doing the same thing. they say it almost like a stalling mechanism so that we can forget, go on with daily lives, and they're not being held accountable, or they don't feel the pressure. Because even though we can't tell them what to do and how to do it, I do think that each person in this media space that have a voice do apply pressure on the fans in this chat. They do apply pressure in some way, shape, or form. They may not admit it, but public perception is always something that people want to manage and ensure they are trying to control. And it's important for us not to lose hope and to keep pushing for the right people in the right seat to give us the best chance to have the right outcome. So I'll say to each of you, thank you for being here. I appreciate you being here, and have a wonderful, wonderful evening. Peace out. Frankie Life is the place to be now for the best sports talk, and it's free, yo. Frankie Life will be your guiding light by keeping you informed both day and night. Frankie Life, tell them. Frankie Life, heed them. Frankie Life, want them. Cranky Life. From the courts to the field, we'll never lose because Cranky has the hottest news. With expert analysis, we break it down. Our in-depth coverage is best in town. Cranky Life, tell them. Cranky Life, heed them. Cranky Life, want them. Cranky Life. Cranky Life, where the sports is spicy and where we keep the discussion lively. Cranky Life, get to know the name because Cranky analysis is never lame. Cranky Life, give me my Cranky Life. I want my Cranky Life. Must have my Cranky Life. Whether it's football or track and field, you know Cranky is at the wheel. So join the journey through victory and defeat, and subscribe and don't miss a beat of Cranky Life. Tell them, Cranky Life. Heed them, Cranky Life. Want them, Cranky Life. If you're from England or USA, from Kingston or Bombay, from Kenya or Canada, Lagos or Havana, visit Cranky Life. Tune into Cranky Life. Like up Cranky Life. Subscribe to Cranky Life. Cranky Life coming to you on weekdays. Cranky Life sometimes on Sundays. Pull up a chair and take a seat because Cranky will always bring the heat. Cranky Life. Me say fi tell them Cranky Life. Me say fi heed them Cranky Life. On them Cranky Life. Cranky Life will be around. Cranky Life is the best in town. Me say fi heed them. Me say fi want them. Me say fi heed them. Want them, heed them, want them. Cranky Life. Cranky Life. Heed them, want them, heed them, want them. Cranky Life. Cranky Life. Heed them, want them, heed them, want them, heed them, want them. Cranky Life. Cranky Life. Cranky. Heed them, want them, heed them, want them. Heed, want, heed them.